What is Veterans Day?
Veterans Day is a day where the citizens of the United States of America honor the sacrifices made by the brave men and women who have endured unimaginable horrors and risked their lives for the benefit of the country. Millions of veterans nationwide are not recognized for their contributions to the country's security. In November 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 11 as the first commemoration of Armistice Day. The original concept for the celebration was for a day observed with parades and public meetings and a brief suspension of business beginning at 11 a.m. An act approved May 13, 1938 made 11th November a legal holiday known as Armistice Day. Armistice Day was primarily a day set aside to honor veterans of World War I, but after countless wars proceeded, Congress amended the Act of 1938 by striking out the word armistice and inserting in its place the word veterans. With the approval of this legislation, on June 1, 1954, November 11 became a day to honor American veterans of all wars. Later that year, on October 8th, President Eisenhower issued the first Veterans Day proclamation, which stated, "In order to ensure proper and widespread observance of this anniversary, all veterans organizations, and the entire citizenry will wish to join hands in common purpose. Towards this end, I am designating the Administrator of Veterans Affairs of VA as Chairman of Veterans Day National Committee, which shall include such other persons as the Chairman may select, and which will coordinate at the national level necessary planning for the observance. I am also requesting the heads of all departments and agencies of the executive branch of the government to assist the National Committee in every way possible."
In 1958, the White House advised VA's General Counsel that the 1954 designation of VA Administrator as Chairman of the Veterans Day National Committee applied to all subsequent VA administrators. Since March 1989, when VA was elevated to a cabinet-level department, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs had served as the committee's chairman. The first Veterans Day under the new law was observed with much confusion. On October 25, 1971, it was quite apparent that the commemoration of this day was a matter of historic and patriotic significance to a great number of our citizens. And so on September 28, 1975, the annual observance of Veterans Day was returned to November 11th, starting 1978. Veterans Day continues to be observed on November 11th. The restoration of the observance of Veterans Day not only preserves the historic significance of the date, but it's also a celebration to honor America's veterans for their patriotism, love of the country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. Many veterans returning from the war suffer from a number of mental illnesses. One of the most prominent illnesses in veterans is post-traumatic stress disorder, better known as PTSD. A few symptoms of this illness could be having flashbacks or nightmares of traumatic events that have happened in the past, trying to make yourself emotionally numb to avoid feeling pain, always being on guard or aware if there's danger around at all times, and the most common symptom, depression. Here is the life of Henry Molina, a veteran who is suffering from PTSD.
Hitler's forces are exhausted and overwhelmed. They have no answer to the Russian onslaught.
Accurate. Howdy, neighbor.
What?
The first time I met Henry, we were at the camps over at Delta Squad 213B. He was always so happy, always ready to cheer everyone up. And as time went on, we got really close. He told me everything, told me about his family back home, how he always wanted to go home, how he was fighting for his family. But by the end, he was always so quiet. It was different, it was hard. He seemed really distant from all of us. He never talked, he never said anything. And one night when I got up to go to the bathroom, I saw him just sitting in his bed staring off at the wall. I talked to him, I went closer, I shook him a little bit, he still didn't respond. I just went back to bed. I was kind of tired and didn't really want to deal with him at that point. But the next morning I asked him what was wrong and he didn't really want to talk about it. He just looked off in the distance, told me everything was okay, told me that it's just gonna be fine, and I said okay, and I went on with my day. And now that we're back home, he still doesn't talk to me. It's different. It's like he's a different person now. He doesn't talk to anyone. He's sad. He's depressed. He just really needs help.
Henry is my hero. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today talking to you guys about Henry. It all started back in Iran, 2009. Me and my squadron, we were patrolling a village that was pretty ominous. And then all of a sudden, 3 feet away from my squadron, a grenade blew up. We all flew back. And the first thing that went through my mind was, how am I going to get my squadron out of this danger? So, we ran into the house, near his house. We pinned ourselves in, trying to protect ourselves from the bullets flying across our face. I didn't know what to do. I began to break down. I didn't know if I was going to make it out alive. Most of my members were injured. I didn't know how I was going to take them all out. And then, someone barged through the door. I couldn't see who it was. I thought it was the end of me, but it was Henry. Henry was there to save me and my squadron. One by one, he took us all out, put us in his car, and then drove us off. I owe it him. I owe it to him, my life. The greatest person ever.
Henry. We go way back. You know, years ago when we go fishing, we make pizza together. You know, he was a very dear friend of mine until he went off to the military and came back as an alcoholic. And at first it hit me because I didn't think it was possible. I mean, he was such a great guy, but he told me a story about how he was crossing the Iraqi border and he got ambushed by Iraqi soldiers, and he was in jail for about a week, and he had little to no food, little to no water. He was almost about to die, and they even were about to execute him, but he was dropped off in a nearby city, and it's just crazy to think how he was diagnosed with PTSD, later sent home, and now I'm helping him fight his addiction of alcohol. And it's just very sad because I never thought it could really turn out like this, and now it's kind of rubbing off on me because
aside from being just an older brother, Henry was also my role model. He used to pick me up when I was down, he used to tell me to do my best in school, he was giving me advice on girls when I needed it. But lately, it just hasn't been the same. Ever since he came back from the Iraq War, he just has this empty, hollow look in his eyes. I was catching up, seeing off into the distance, just thinking about the past and the war. Just basic tasks I used to do, like cleaning around the house, helping me with homework, he just doesn't seem to do anymore. He just seems to keep himself in his room. Before, the house was always so lively with music that he used to play. He was always outside with the family. He was always out with friends. But now, it's a shell of what he used to be.
as you can see, the life of a veteran who suffers from mental illnesses is very challenging. Our good friend Henry suffers from PTSD and has difficulty maintaining a regular lifestyle. Maintaining a relationship and holding down a job proved to be difficult obstacles for him to overcome. Our own home state of California is home to the largest number of U.S. veterans. Our government is supposed to help the veterans who come back from serving our country, but instead, they are welcomed with little help.
6.2% of veterans are unemployed, and up to 12% of veterans make up the homeless population. Veterans who suffer from mental illnesses and have a difficult time re-entering society. 31% of veterans suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, and we must make help readily available for them. These veterans risk their lives to ensure the country's safety, and now we must return the favor. We must help these veterans by making sure their mental status is stable once they return home. So if any of you know of a veteran in need, make sure to let them know of the Veterans Crisis Hotline, which can be reached at 1-800-273-8255. Once again, the number is 1-800-273-8255. For the final time, the number is 1-800-273-8255.